I think we should use AI to enhance our skills, not in developing them. So ask yourself, if AI disappeared tomorrow, could I still function as a photographer? Welcome to Off the Memory Card, the podcast where photographers talk about everything but taking photos, because photography is only 10% photos and 90% building a life and business you love. I'm Kathleen Burns. Let's dive in. I want to start this episode by addressing the elephant in the room, AI in photography. It has become quite the controversial topic, and I just want to say out loud what a lot of us are thinking, and that is that honestly, we're still wrapping our heads around it. Some photographers are completely against it, and some use it for everything. But I think most of us fall somewhere in the middle. We're just kind of quietly trying to figure it out and form our own opinions. And that is where I am at the moment. I am still very much processing artificial intelligence. You know, what it is, how quickly it's evolving, and of course, what it means for the future. So nothing I say today is me preaching about AI. I am simply processing it. There are things I love about it, and there are things that genuinely terrify me. So let's talk about the wide spectrum. On one end, there are those who completely reject it. They say things like AI is cheating and it's ruining the industry. And some people will take it even further, publicly condemning photographers who do use it. And honestly, I think that is a fear-based reaction. I'm just not sure that it's fair to form such a strong opinion about something that you're not willing to try. But that is just me. Then there is the other side of the spectrum. These are the people who have gone into full-blown automation mode. They are having AI write everything, edit everything, and it's replacing all human input. The great thing about being human is that we have a brain and a heart, and that allows you to think for yourself and feel emotions, and you can use that to create art. And I think those things will never be replaced by a computer. All right, now let's talk about that middle ground. This is where I live and where I think most people are at the moment. I think of AI as a tool. We are like the contractor who has always worked with a hammer and nails, and suddenly we have discovered the nail gun. There are still times where we'll need that trusty old hammer, but we can get things done faster and more efficiently with the nail gun. You still need the actual contractor. After all, they know where the nails go and why. So that is how I'm choosing to look at AI as a photographer. You still need the creator, but there are AI tools that can help with the process. And another part of being in that middle ground area is that we are aware of AI and its capabilities, but we're not allowing ourselves to panic. And while I think it's important not to panic, I also want to be clear that there is fear. That fear is real and it is valid. Just watching the speed at which it is evolving is so scary. I mean, it really feels like it changes on a weekly basis. And I would be lying if I said I haven't thought about things like job security, being replaced by AI. There's also the fear that clients won't value real photography anymore. But I think the biggest fear is just the unknown future. These are all really uncomfortable thoughts, but that's part of being human. And being human is the edge we all have over artificial intelligence. It is okay to admit that these things scare you. I don't think ignoring them is the answer, but I also don't think allowing fear to paralyze you will help either. So let's dive a little deeper into using AI as a tool. Think of it as your assistant. You are the artist, but is it really so bad to have a little help? So full transparency here, when I decided to do this episode, I had all of these thoughts and things I wanted to talk about, but I just felt so scatterbrained about all of it and how to organize it all. So I took all of my thoughts and dumped them into ChatGPT and asked it to create an outline for me. And it did. Yes, I see the irony in having ChatGPT help with an episode about AI, but it just proves the point that I am still the creator. Everything I'm saying is my own thoughts, my voice. But it was nice to have a little help piecing those thoughts together, organizing them in a way that makes more sense to you, the listener. And ChatGPT is also a great tool for brainstorming ideas. For example, I do multiple Christmas sets every year. I am the crazy Christmas lady. And I like to offer suggestions on what to wear for each of these sets. Now, I could spend a lot of time researching each of those themes and typing up multiple options for each set, or I could ask ChatGPT for help and save myself a great deal of time and frustration. Just a few words of caution, though, before moving on. Even when using this tool, remember it is a starting point, not the finished product. You should absolutely still personalize it. Do not let it replace your voice. If you copy and paste without thinking, you're outsourcing your personality. Don't let that happen. So now let's look at the biggest aspect of AI in photography, and that is editing. Not to sound like a total dinosaur here, but I vividly remember the days where masking wasn't a thing. If you wanted to whiten someone's teeth, you had to brush over the teeth, lower the saturation, maybe boost the exposure a bit. But now with masking tools, you can easily detect teeth, facial skin, body skin, the sky. There's very little brushing and erasing required. And these tools speed up our workflow dramatically. It doesn't remove any creative choices. You still have to make the decisions about tone, color, mood. And this is something you've been able to do in Lightroom for years now. But there are other software options popping up that do kind of push the envelope. And I think it's up to us as the creatives to decide how we use them. About a year ago, I started using Evoto. Now, Evoto is an AI-powered editing program. And the first time I used it, I think I did allow it to basically just edit the photo for me. I was curious what it would do. And I hated it. It was a photo of me and my little boy, and it just made us look plastic. We looked fake. I was not happy with it. But then I learned how to use all the individual tools to edit the way I wanted it. It has a lot of different masking options, and you can use little sliders to adjust the level of how far you want it to go. The part I love the most, though, is how well its AI is at syncing images. Now, in Lightroom, you can soften someone's skin, but if they're in a group of people and then you try to sync those photos, it's likely not going to apply that mask to the same person. It inevitably ends up softening someone else's skin. That is not the case with Evoto. It knows exactly who you have applied each mask to and then applies them to the same people when you sync the pictures. Do you have any idea how much time this has saved me? Say I did a family session and there's a little bit of a glare in dad's glasses. I can lower or completely eliminate that glare in one photo. Well, then say mom is a little self-conscious about her double chin. And I'm just using that as an example because I am a mom who is self-conscious about my double chin. There's a slider for that, which adds a little shadow under the chin, which calls less attention to it. So I can adjust that in the same photo. Well, then say there's their kiddo who is just covered in bug bites. And mom is like, hey, can you edit out all of these bug bites? That is something that used to take a lifetime. Well, now there is a slider for body blemishes that you can use to get rid of the bug bites. And you can do all of this on one photo and then sync the rest. It doesn't matter if they moved around or changed places. The software uses AI to detect which masks get applied to which subjects. Now, this is not an ad for Evoto, but I am just using it as an example of how AI in editing can save you time. I am, however, going to drop a link and a code in the show notes for anyone who wants to give it a shot. Just a heads up, it is credit-based, so any photo you use masking on, it is going to cost you 1 credit to export it. By using that code, though, you will receive 500 additional credits to whichever package you choose. But just imagine for a second what you could do if you spent less time editing. Could you spend more time marketing your business, more time with your family, or just more time resting? But just like with ChatGPT, a few words of wisdom: Do not become over-reliant on it. Make sure you are still using your own editing style. I think we should use AI to enhance our skills, not in developing them. So ask yourself, if AI disappeared tomorrow, could I still function as a photographer? Now, with that said, I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. So what does that mean for us? My personal perspective, I do not think photography is going to disappear, but it will change. Every industry evolves. Imagine how photographers felt when going from film to digital. Scary times for sure. And then social media came along and changed everything again. But our industry adapted, and I believe it will continue to adapt. We just have to be willing to pivot when needed, and I think those who are flexible are the ones who will survive. So I just encourage all of us to stay curious, test tools without being ashamed of it, and make sure you're staying informed on any changes that are happening, and form your own opinions based on your own experience. Do not panic, but also don't blindly embrace everything. It is here, so we can't ignore it, but it's also important that we don't worship it. AI is not your replacement. As I said earlier, it is your assistant. Just make sure you don't take your hands off the wheel. All right, that is going to do it for this conversation. If you are like me and you feel like you fall somewhere in the middle and you're still wrapping your head around the AI, do me a favor and send this episode to someone in a similar situation, and hopefully it can help them as well. I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to Off the Memory Card. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you'd like some more support on your photography journey, head over to usethatcamera.com.